They say the smoke could be seen from 3 villages away, rising black and thick against the autumn sky. But before the flames came the rope, before the pyre came the bridge, and before Konrad Reichart became ash, he was a man who dared to speak. The year is 1457, in the heart of the Holy Roman Empire, where faith is law and dissent is death. Konrad Reichart stands in a small wooden chapel in the Bavarian countryside, his voice steady as he reads from forbidden texts. He is 43 years old, lean from years of wandering, with graying brown hair that falls to his shoulders and eyes that burn with conviction. His simple brown tunic is worn at the elbows, patched at the chest. Around him, 24 villagers lean forward, drinking in words they've been told are poison. He speaks of grace without priests, of salvation without gold, of a church corrupted by wealth and power. His hands shake slightly as he turns the page, not from fear, but from the weight of what he knows these words will cost him. The door explodes inward. Torchlight floods the chapel as armed men pour through, their faces hidden beneath helmets, their movements efficient and brutal. The villagers scatter like frightened birds, but Konrad remains standing at his wooden lectern, his fingers still pressed to the page. The captain of the guard steps forward, a thick-necked man with a scar running from his left eye to his jaw. He doesn't ask questions. Heresy has already been declared. The bishop's orders are clear. 2 soldiers seize Konrad by the arms, wrenching them behind his back until his shoulders scream. The forbidden book falls to the floor, its pages splaying open like broken wings. As they drag him out into the cold October night, Konrad's eyes remain fixed, not on his captors, but on the villagers watching from the shadows, memorizing their faces, silently begging them to remember what he taught them. The journey to Regensburg takes 4 days. Konrad walks in chains, his wrists rubbed raw and bleeding, his feet blistered through his thin leather shoes. The guards say nothing to him. They treat him like cargo, like something already dead. At night, they tie him to trees and sleep in shifts, always watching. He is given stale bread and water once a day. His beard grows unkempt, his face becomes gaunt, but his eyes never lose their intensity. On the 2nd day, they pass through a village, and a woman spits at him from the roadside. "Heretic," she screams, and her children throw stones. One strikes Konrad above his left eye, opening a gash that bleeds down his cheek. He does not cry out, he does not curse. He simply walks, his lips moving in silent prayer not to saints or priests, but directly to the God he believes hears him without intermediaries. Regensburg rises before them like a stone giant, its cathedral spire piercing the gray sky. The city smells of smoke and fish and human waste. They lead Konrad through narrow streets where merchants and beggars alike stop to stare at the chained man. His reputation has preceded him. Whispers follow in his wake. The heretic from Bavaria, the one who denies the sacraments, the one who will burn. They bring him to the bishop's palace, a fortress of wealth and power that seems to mock everything Konrad has preached. He is thrown into a cell beneath the palace, a hole in the ground no larger than a grave. There is no window, no light except what filters through the cracks in the floorboards above. The smell of mold and urine is suffocating. For 3 days, he sits in darkness, his back against cold stone, listening to the sound of his own breathing and the scurrying of rats. No one comes. No one speaks to him. The isolation is its own form of torture, designed to break him before the trial even begins. On the 4th day, they drag him upward into blinding light. The trial chamber is a mockery of justice, a small room where 3 clergymen sit behind a wooden table, their faces impassive beneath ornate caps. The charges are read in Latin, words Konrad understands but is not permitted to answer. Heresy, blasphemy, corrupting the faithful, teaching false doctrine, denying the authority of Holy Mother Church. The evidence is his own words, recorded by informants who sat among his congregations. They quote him verbatim, twisting his meaning, stripping away context. When he tries to speak, to defend himself, a guard strikes him across the mouth with a leather-wrapped rod. Blood fills his mouth, and he swallows it, tasting iron and salt. The trial lasts less than an hour. The verdict is predetermined, guilty on all counts. The sentence is death by hanging and burning, his body to be destroyed so completely that no relic of heresy might remain. As they lead him back to his cell, Konrad realizes with terrible clarity that he will never leave this city alive. The execution is scheduled for dawn on the 5th day. They come for him while stars still pierce the darkness above, pulling him from his cell with rough hands. They have not fed him. They have not allowed him to wash. His brown tunic is stained with filth and blood, his hair matted with sweat and dirt. But they force him to his knees, and a priest reads last rites over him, offering salvation if he will only recant. Konrad looks up at the priest, this man who serves the very corruption he has spent years condemning, and shakes his head. "I have already been saved," he whispers, his voice hoarse from thirst. "Not by your church, but by grace alone." The priest's face hardens. He makes the sign of the cross and turns away. There will be no mercy, no absolution, only fire. They march him through the pre-dawn streets toward the stone bridge, the ancient crossing that spans the Danube River. A crowd has already gathered despite the early hour, drawn by the promise of spectacle, of righteous violence sanctioned by God. Hundreds of faces blur together in the torchlight. Men, women, children all come to watch a heretic die. The bridge itself is a marvel of medieval engineering, 12 massive stone arches holding it above the dark water below. At its center, they have erected a wooden scaffold, a beam extending out over the river with a rope already tied in a noose. Below, on a barge floating in the current, workers have built a pyre log stacked in careful arrangement, kindling tucked into every gap, barrels of oil standing ready to ensure the flames will burn hot and fast. The smell of pitch and pine resin drifts upward on the cold morning air. Konrad's legs nearly fail him when he sees it, understanding now the full horror of his death. First the rope, to strangle him slowly, publicly. Then the fire, to erase him from the earth. They strip him to his waist on the scaffold, exposing his thin chest and the scars of old wounds from a lifetime of hardship. His gray-brown hair whips in the river wind. A herald reads the charges again, his voice carrying across the bridge and echoing off the water. With each accusation, the crowd responds with jeers and shouts. "Heretic! Blasphemer! Devil's servant!" Konrad stands straight despite his terror, his eyes scanning the crowd, searching for even one sympathetic face. He finds none. These are good Christians, faithful to their church, convinced that what they witness is holy work. The executioner, a massive man in a black hood, approaches with the noose. It is rough hemp, thick as a man's thumb, coarse enough to tear skin. He places it around Konrad's neck, adjusting it carefully, professionally. The rope bites into flesh, already cutting off breath. Konrad's heart hammers in his chest, every instinct screaming to run, to fight, to beg. But he forces himself to stillness, to dignity. If these are his final moments, he will not give them the satisfaction of his terror. The executioner steps back. A signal is given. The trapdoor beneath Konrad's feet drops away, and he falls. The rope catches with a violent jerk, snapping his head back, crushing his windpipe. But his neck does not break. The drop is not far enough. Instead, he hangs there, suspended between bridge and water, slowly strangling. His feet kick wildly in empty air. His hands claw at the rope around his neck, instinct overriding will. His face turns purple, then blue, his eyes bulging as capillaries burst. The crowd watches in silence now, the spectacle turning unexpectedly intimate and horrible. Minutes pass, each one an eternity. Konrad's struggles weaken, his movements becoming sporadic twitches. Darkness closes in from the edges of his vision, and through the roaring in his ears, he thinks he hears music, or perhaps it is only the river rushing below. His final conscious thought is not of regret or fear, but of the villagers in that wooden chapel, and the hope that they will remember, that his words will outlive his body. When his body finally hangs still, they wait. The executioner counts slowly, ensuring death is complete. Then comes the fire. Men on the barge below cut the rope, and Konrad's corpse plummets downward, landing with a heavy thud atop the prepared pyre. The impact breaks bones that no longer feel pain, his body sprawling across the logs in an ungainly heap. The executioner climbs down to the barge, torch in hand. He douses the pyre with oil, the liquid splashing across wood and flesh alike, the smell sharp and chemical. Then he touches the flame to kindling. The fire catches immediately, roaring to life with unnatural speed. Yellow and orange flames leap upward, consuming oil and wood and human remains with indiscriminate hunger. Black smoke billows across the river, thick and choking, carrying with it the sweet, sick smell of burning meat. The crowd on the bridge can feel the heat even from their height, can see Konrad's body blacken and curl as the fire does its work. His hair ignites like a torch, his skin splits and chars, fat beneath rendering and feeding the flames. The fire burns for hours, fed continuously by men with long poles who push collapsed wood back into the center, ensuring nothing escapes the cleansing flame. By midday, nothing remains but ash and fragments of bone. Even these are gathered carefully, placed in sacks, and thrown into the deepest part of the Danube. The river swallows them without trace, carrying Konrad Reichart away from Regensburg, from Bavaria, from all the lands where he once walked and preached. The bishop declares the matter closed. The heresy has been purged. The faithful have been protected. The church's authority has been reaffirmed. Life in Regensburg returns to normal. Merchants sell their wares, priests say their masses, and children play in streets where the smell of smoke still lingers faintly in the air. But in that wooden chapel in the Bavarian countryside, in 24 villages scattered across the Holy Roman Empire, people gather in secret. They speak in whispers of a man who died rather than recant. They pass forbidden texts from hand to hand, and they begin to understand that ideas, unlike bodies, cannot be strangled or burned. The church has made a martyr, and martyrs, history would prove, are far more dangerous dead than alive. Konrad Reichart is gone, but the questions he asked remain. Was this justice or murder dressed in holy robes? Was this righteousness or terror wielded by those who feared losing power? The bridge still stands in Regensburg, connecting one side of the river to the other, just as it connected Konrad's life to his death. Tourists walk across it now, unaware of the blood once spilled on its stones, the smoke that once rose from its arches. History has a way of washing clean, of making the past seem inevitable, and the victims seem somehow complicit in their own destruction. But the truth is simpler and more terrible. Konrad Reichart died for speaking. He died for thinking. He died because he dared to imagine that faith might exist without chains, that God might hear prayers not mediated by gold and power. And for that crime, the crime of conscience, he was hanged from a bridge and burned until nothing remained. Do you think this punishment was justice or cruelty? History rarely gives us heroes only lessons written in blood and smoke. If this story made you think, don't look away. Like, share, and subscribe for more dark truths buried beneath history's blood-stained pages, because the past isn't dead. It's still warning us.